to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to Lake Orion Community Schools Board of Education meeting. This is a meeting of the board for the purpose of conducting school district business for public transparency and is not to be considered a public community meeting. All individuals wishing to address the board are required to sign the public participation sheets at the beginning of the meeting. Please note that there are two opportunities for public participation this evening, one related to action items on the agenda and a second opportunity at the end of the meeting for non-action items or topics. Ms. Olko will now collect the sheets, and this will serve as the final opportunity to sign up for public participation. Okay, and with that, may I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Birgit. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Agenda motion carries. And with that, I will turn it right over to Mr. Adam Weldon, because I know he has quite a few things to share.
We have a full house tonight, Danielle, so very exciting. Instead of our normal cadence for staff introductions, I'm going to be calling names individually as I introduce staff by the building they are being hired for. So we're just going to simply go alphabetically through the buildings here. So for Carpenter, can I please have Amy Bronikowski, Lexi Bird, Audrey Pulaski, and Olivia Pumford stand? Amy, Audrey, and Olivia are being recommended to teach 4th grade, and Lexi is being recommended to teach 2nd grade at Carpenter. Thank you very much. Awesome. For Lake Orion High School, can I please have Emily Coletti and Kirsten Erke stand? Emily is being recommended as a science teacher, and Kirsten is being recommended as a social studies teacher at LOHS. Also being recommended for LOHS but not able to be in attendance tonight is Ava Ulianelli as a science teacher and Ethan Schneider as a math teacher. Thank you. For Orion Oaks, can I please have Hayden Grant and Brielle Szymanski please stand? Hayden is being recommended to teach 5th grade, and Brielle is being recommended to teach 4th grade at Orion Oaks next year. Thank you. For Paint Creek, can I please have Faith Sickmiller stand? Faith is being recommended to teach 4th grade at Paint Creek next year. Thank you, Faith. For Phases, can I please have Susan Tamblin and Danielle Wary stand? Susan is being recommended as a Phases teacher, and Danielle is being recommended as a social worker at Phases for next year. Thank you both. For Stadium, can I please have Kara Fox and Gracie Valentage stand? Kara is being recommended to teach 2nd grade, and Gracie is being recommended to teach 1st grade at Stadium. Thank you both. For Weber, can I please have Renee DeGeorge, Stacy Getty, and Riley Ziesmer stand? Renee is being recommended to teach 2nd grade, Stacy is being recommended to teach 3rd grade, and Riley is being recommended to teach 4th grade at Weber. Thank you very much. Also being recommended but not able to be in attendance tonight is Kara Joseph for Weber, and she's being recommended as an LRC teacher for them next year. For district ancillary staff, can I please have Allison Panic and Jason Lesko stand? Allison is being recommended tonight as a speech pathologist for next year, and Jason Lesko as a school social worker for next year. Thank you both. And also being recommended but not able to be in attendance tonight is Kaylin Grimes, and she is being recommended as a school social worker as well. Within this group, we have current parents, former graduates, current employees who are either obtaining a new teaching position or initial licensure, and community members. We also have an impressive 12 new staff members who completed their internships in student teaching at Lake Orion within the past 3 years. Administratively tonight, I also have 2 recommendations. To begin, Erin Schmuel is being recommended as a new principal of Carpenter Elementary. Erin is currently in Texas, packing up her belongings for the long drive home in her truck, which she says is no big deal at this point for her, which is great. Erin has been an assistant principal in Texas for the past 8 years at the elementary level. She has classroom teaching experience in 1st through 5th grade, and she was also a curriculum coach before becoming an assistant principal. She was born and raised in Michigan, began her teaching career in Michigan before her husband's career took their family down to Texas, where her youngest daughter just graduated from college last week. Her husband is currently in Michigan as his job moved north in the fall, and she is very happy to be moving back to Michigan to rejoin the family there. She is currently in the midst of packing up. She earned her bachelor's and master's degree in literacy instruction from Michigan State, an additional master's degree in educational leadership from the University of North Texas. So we're very excited to welcome Erin to Carpenter and as a dragon for our family. And additionally, we do have Cassandra Padilla as being recommended tonight as our new Director of Early Childhood for Lake Orion. Cassandra has been the Early Childhood Director for Brandon Schools since 2022. She was the Assistant Director for Early Childhood for Holly Area Schools from 2018 to 2022 and began her career in early childhood as an early childhood teacher in Holly Area Schools back in 2015. She earned her bachelor's degree from U of M Flint, her master's degree in educational leadership from Central Michigan, and we are very excited to welcome Cassandra to Lake Orion as well. Thank you, Cassandra. Overall, a very large group here, and I don't think I can truly put into words how excited I am for this group to welcome them as dragons. We have a lot of experience, a lot of excitement, a lot of youth and excitement to be joining the profession. This cohort of new hires is going to make a very, very positive impact on our district as teachers, as leaders, and we will see them leading the way for Dragon Country here in the years to come. So welcome to all of you. Thank you. And as promised earlier, at this point, if you would like, you are obviously welcome to stay and continue with watching the board meeting, but you're also welcome to leave at this point and enjoy the 75, 80 degrees outside. Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you all for being here this evening.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Adam, for that. Next up, we have learning highlights and communications update with Mr. Mark Snyder.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Obviously, there's been so many great things that have happened. And at the end of the year, things get crazy. There's so many things that are happening. But before I start, I just wanted to thank the community in general for their patience with us during the water outage and everything. We tried to keep everyone informed, and hopefully, and we appreciate that that everyone was able to engage with us and keep track. And when they had questions, they reached out, and we really appreciated that as well. So, thank you very much for that. As the farm trip happened, you can see that the Paint Creek Special Education EI program went to Upland Hills. They had fun milking cows, petting chickens, ponies, goats, kittens, and baby ducks. They also enjoyed a hayride to a nature trail. The field days are happening now. They happen in the fall. The fundraisers now, they're just kind of like the students out there having fun. Today was Weber's. I went to Orion Oaks the other day, and they're just kids love to be outside, so it's great. It's a good release for them and a good opportunity. Weber started a tradition a couple years ago where the fifth graders run a 5K. They run down Clarkston Road, they get to the end, and they kind of turn around and come back in front of where Orion Oaks and the ECC are. And it's really a lot of fun because the whole school is out there cheering them when they leave and when they come back, and it becomes a communal school event. And it's a little different than, the normal things that happen. So Mr. Palmieri was there and supervising, and there was a lot of parents there cheering them on and everything. So that's kind of a great experience there. Flag football is growing. We talked about it in the fall at the high school, and now the middle schools are going. Mr. Wichman at Oakview took it upon himself to start a team. He's been coaching them, very proud, how they're developing and everything like that. The choral and chamber choir were both selected as 2 of the top 12 ensembles in the state of Michigan. This is the first time in program history to have 2 ensembles selected. It's the highest honor a choir can receive in the state of Michigan. This is them performing in Grand Rapids. Oakview, on the singing front still, Oakview performed the national anthem at the Detroit Tigers game. The senior events are everywhere now, the prom, the senior breakfast and date where they got their caps and gowns and the yearbooks. That was great. The decision day is in the middle there, basically that's the day on May 1st when all of the students who are seniors, who are going on to something else, college, work, the military, they're all recognized and they all can hold up a sign and be proud and then wear their gear that day and everything like that. 85 different outlets that are between colleges and military and everything that are going to be represented in the Lake Orion High School class of 2026, which is pretty diverse and pretty cool. Sorry, got one more, Julie. Senior Lampa Learning Honors and Scholarships. Some of you were there and you saw that great night and all the scholarships that were given out. So that's really something we're really proud of. How we celebrate all of those seniors, who've really worked hard throughout their academic careers. Thank you. Athletics are booming now, obviously, so I'm going to run through them. Celebrated 10 student athletes at the final signing. The boys volleyball team is undefeated. The Abby Nearing at the OAA meet broke 2 school records in the 4x2 relay, 400-meter dash. The girls track team overall, back-to-back regional champions. Second, the runner-up finish at Oakland County meet. Girls lacrosse player Brooke Bronsick scored her 100th career goal. Lake Orion girls softball team was the OAA Red Champs. The lacrosse team yesterday they won over Clarkston in the regional semifinals. The boys volleyball team, as I said earlier, it was undefeated and they're going to the regional quarterfinals. They won and now they're going to regional semifinals on Thursday at 6 o'clock. And the Lake Orion boys lacrosse team is the regional champs last night. So we can ask Mr. Bell, but the spring sports are always thriving here in Lake Orion. So that's pretty awesome. Doug Bartros won first place in the Oakland County Bus Rodeo. Every year we seem to really do well in that thing, so great job by Doug. This is the apprenticeship wall. Through a grant with the Conduit to the Trades, Lake Orion High School was the recipient of an apprenticeship program wall featuring 15 in-demand local trades. The wall is installed in the extended learning space next to the commons, and there's little QR codes where students can go up and click on it, learn about that different trade and that apprenticeship and kind of an opportunity. We talk all the time about, there's more than just college and that there's paths for everyone, and this is a living example of that right there. Mr. Chappell and Ms. Pavlich, really worked hard to try to bring these things and expand the opportunities for students and highlight those things for them, so that's awesome. Robotics, we had Team 302, which always goes to the World Championship, and this year the Hydra Dragons joined them in Houston, so that was a great weekend for all of them, I guess. Staff awards, in case you missed it, we have the State of Michigan Teacher of the Year for the first time in the 70-plus years that the award's been happening. This is one of the great achievements. I know we kind of blow through it because it's in the middle of the year, but this is one of the great achievements in this district in many, many years. And Eric Mearshard is a great example of our district. He's going to spend next year, as Adam says, traveling, and not in his classroom, but representing Lake Orion everywhere. And that's really something we're really proud of. Just so you know, the interview requests have been flooding in for him all the time. And every so often I have to say, he's teaching. And when teaching's done, then maybe we can do some interviews. You see Nancy Tedder in the corner from Scripps Middle School counselor was named the Counselor of the Year by the Oakland Counselor Association. In the upper right corner, you see our 4 Teachers of the Year who went on to the who represented us at the county awards, and Shelby McCumber, in the green. She stood up and she gave a wonderful speech, and those of us, Adam and Heidi, were there, and they saw. It was powerful. It was really something that was different than other speeches, and she kind of captivated the room and talked about the profession, talked about inspiration, and again, another dragon who we're really proud is representing us to a wider group. More awards and honors. Dragon Yearbook staff won the Spartan Award in Accommodation and Excellence in Design, over 30 individual awards. In the bottom left, you got the accounting students, Caleb, Dominic, and Nicholas, who completed their Microsoft Office Excel 365 Apps Associate Industry Certification. I can't read it. I probably couldn't even get it. In the bottom right corner, you see LHS senior Alyssa Switek. She was chosen as one of WXYZ's brightest and best. She'll graduate from Lake Orion High School with a 4.507 GPA. And we ended up in the right corner. That's the choral and chamber choir that we talked about earlier. And finally, the economy fair was happening today among the fourth graders at Orion Oaks Elementary. I know Drew got over there too, and it's great because as we've talked about before, what the students do is they come up with an idea, they do the marketing plan, they have to create their signage, then they sell with the bucks to their classmates. It's total chaos, right, Drew?
This is one of my favorite nights of the year, and I told the kids I'd show off the bling that they gave me there, which most of them were amazed that my wrist fit the size of an elementary school student, but I got some pretty cool bracelets out of that, so I love that day.
We got a great picture of Drew trying to hit a hockey puck or with a hockey stick.
I got some great coaching from the kids. They told me I was swinging too hard, and once I slowed down, scored a goal. So we got some future coaches in our midst.
There you go. So that was it. It was great. We've gone through so many different things, and we have obviously still 2 more weeks to go and lots of celebrations to come. I wanted to just shout out to the businesses, and I know we'll probably talk about some of this in the strategic plan, but we did this is the second year we had a staff appreciation week. We just basically go to the businesses, Heidi and I, and ask them to offer whatever that they want for our staff. So some offer like a free coffee, some offer a percentage, off during the week or whatever, and they're willing to do it because throughout the year we get businesses who want to do stuff for staff, and we say, well, why don't you wait till this week and then you can offer whatever you want. And it's really great. Our staff take advantage of it and the businesses appreciate them. So it's a great partnership, and that's something that, we'll get back to that in the strategic plan a little bit, but it's really something that Heidi's made a big initiative to do this outreach, and the businesses have responded as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions or comments for Mark? Thank you so much, Mark. All right, and that's going to move us to our presentation, so I'll turn that over to Heidi.
All right, good evening. This evening we have a strategic plan update. So this is progress on our initiatives that we have been working on, along with a few ideas for next year. More to come on that in August for the following year. But I also want to welcome Dr. Sarah Leggett this evening, as she is joining us as she represents the special education portion of the strategic plan. So each of the departments will be sharing with you some of the highlights, certainly not everything regarding the strategic plan, because we'd be here all evening, but they will provide some highlights this evening on our progress. So I'll turn it over to Drew.
All right, thank you. Yes, as Heidi mentioned, I'll hit some of the highlights from our department, and Sarah will jump in with me as we continue to move toward the combination of our departments. We're also within teaching and learning, obviously with Carrie's retirement and Sarah and Elisa coming on board. It's kind of an exciting summer for us, so a lot of our planning is continuing to be in flux as we finalize it with the new team coming in the fall. So on our first slide here, really the big takeaway is that all of our enrollment in some of our the different variety of scheduling options that we have for our kids has continued to grow. And some of these numbers we'll highlight a little bit more in a few weeks when we have our end of year presentation with data. But noting that our AP enrollment continued to grow with the number of tests that were taken. Our virtual lab that Steve Ty oversees has continued to grow that enrollment, but also As we had mentioned, this year we focused a little bit more on student scheduling and being purposeful about what their future planning was and some of their current scheduling needs. So overall, we've continued to see that grow, and trends looking to next year will continue in that direction, so we'll keep that focus.
Before we move on, the number of virtual courses here, is that just through the academic school year, or is it also through the summer included?
That's a great question. These are just for the current academic year, and then our summer school numbers are separate from that. Yep. Then as we look at continuing with some of the flexible opportunities for our Dragons, as we've shared throughout the year, we've had a number of continue with our curriculum review. That is another piece in a few weeks. I know we had talked about that. I'll bring forward sort of a long-term plan that gets us onto a continuous cycle by subject area, so I'll have that to share with you in a few weeks. But overall, what we have continued to do is really look at the new curriculum that was adopted, continue with that professional development. That support will continue. As you recall, our big focus was on CKLA at the elementary level. We've started that PD process. That will continue even a little bit after the school year ends. Math has been another big one. Looking at the high school, they've done a great job, that team up there with their implementation in the professional development. And as we've continued to look at with some of the state requirements with English language learners, we've worked really closely with Liz Slusher, who's been great, and we've looked at some of our staffing there to continue to support our learners in that department. Sarah, is there anything I wanted to add to that?
Something that we talked about earlier in the year is just continued work across all the levels with making sure we're having conversations across general and special education, just to make sure that our curriculums are aligning, the materials that we're using in special education is appropriate and aligns with what we expect for all learners. And what you'll see on there too is that the teams in our phases program have been engaging in a lot of really hard work to review the program, plan ahead, and that's going to continue going into next year. So we've been starting up more communications regarding that so that we can make sure that we get community input, parent input, and staff input, which a lot of that continued this week and will continue into next week as well.
So when there is a program evaluation, whether in this case or with something new, what are the steps then? You mentioned there's like input first from the stakeholders, parents, family. Like what does that look like generally when we're evaluating a program?
So the program actually had historically engaged in the process with Oakland Schools' input and alignment, and so really it's kind of reinvigorating that. So this year has been a lot of work looking at what was done in the past. So there's different competency areas that we look at that Oakland Schools provides guidance on for transition programs, and the team in the past had looked across those to rate themselves and do self-assessments. So most of the work this year has just been doing a lot of development with the team internally to talk about, okay, how did we rate before? What are the expectations moving forward? What more information do we need? So the progress is kind of a behind the scenes, but now we're getting to the pivotal point where we can start getting some more constituent input, including families and communities, and then nestle that within the overall district special ed plan or department plan. So really it's looking at all the different tiers of how we support students, how we organize the program, what the opportunities look like, what they need to be. So it's a lot of self-evaluation and then identifying where do we want to go next year to strengthen that and what do we need to do that resource-wise. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
All right, and then in the area of technology, the second semester, we have really continued to include conversations with tech in a lot of our weekly meetings and really focusing on the instructional side of things. So as we move into next year, there's been a lot more conversation the second semester for planning for the future of making sure that on the hardware side of things, we continue with our refresh, working through that, working with All Covered. They've been a great partner, can't sing their praises enough. Craig Scone and his technology department has been great. So we continue to have those conversations about how technology is integrated into the classroom, everything from our traditional state testing to day-to-day, and making sure that we have the tech needs met for our staff and students. And then on the social and emotional side, we continue with Sabres and My Sabres. And again, we'll have those final numbers. We're at the tail end of our screening window right now. So at our next board meeting, I'll be excited to share the updates there. I will say that continues to be, this is one of those opportunities that I always like to highlight and thank our staff, because the data that we continue to see is growing, where our kids feel safe, excited, and really want to be here at school. And that is a testament to our staff day to day. And we see that in the data. We see that when Mark shares his updates, as we get out to see it in action and the excitement the kids have. So I'm excited to share that info for you at the end of the year. We continue to work with our threat assessment. That will forever and always be number one, the safety and security of our students. And again, to that point, is one of the main point people for that. I cannot tell you enough how grateful I am for our staff and the work that they do, coming at it from not only the seriousness of it, but really understanding the impactful nature of being supportive of our staff and our students. It really, I feel like we're in a really good spot of the conversations we have and the support we have. And then we continue, and Sarah has been such a huge addition to our team, that the conversations that we're having daily about what we do in the classroom and day-to-day in the school environment to welcome and support every Dragon, no matter the background, where they come from, if they start with us in the middle of the school year, if they've been with us since kindergarten. So I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to add, but really just to sing Sarah's praises of those conversations that have helped us as a district and cabinet to continue to move forward for all of our learners.
I don't think so. I think we have some things later that we noted about regarding discipline. That is one example of that work that we're doing with that data.
Yes. So I was curious, could you share the opt-out process for Sabres? Parents can opt out of that. Is that at every, whether it's administered by the teachers, whether they're taking it themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're able to, maybe in the next presentation, give us an idea of how many students do opt out.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. I can get that data. And we do continue that with the opt-out process at every level. We always send the communication home to families to let them know when it's coming and give them the opportunity if they'd like to opt out, but we can definitely get those numbers for you.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, and then Heidi and I have continued to meet with the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. They have, and Heidi, feel free to jump in, they have given us some great feedback and some great ideas. It is really powerful to hear their voice day to day. And, at one of our last meetings, it was fun to share with them. I think sometimes they don't realize the impact that they truly have. And Heidi shared a number of concrete things that we've worked with in the district, that everything from looking at high school bathrooms to new course ideas and everything in between. It really is important for us to hear the kids, and they've been brutally honest with us, which is great. We really appreciate that. So. And then we've continued with some of our, what I call the nuts and bolts behind the scenes with our MyKIP, with our district-wide school improvement plan. That continues to focus on closing the gap with our students of low socioeconomic status. But that really goes to not just that group, but just instruction for all learners, of making sure that we're hitting every student that walks in our door and providing different opportunities. And again, at the end of the year, we'll have more concrete data to student achievement that we'll be able to share. But early returns that we're seeing as it's coming in is, again, we continue to trend in the positive direction. So really excited for that. And then professional development, that is obviously a huge part of our department, and that's one of the last times I get to give Carrie Anderson a shout out before she gets to ride off into the sunset and laugh at us in the fall when we're coming back and she's enjoying the sunshine. But she continues to be in working with Sarah and our instructional coaches to provide great professional development. The CKLA rollout, like I mentioned, has gone really well, been very smooth. The high school team with math has jumped in, but then right down to our building administrators and our building teams that lead building professional development. We continue to offer that and opportunities for staff. And I know, Sarah, if you wanted to share anything with on the special ed side.
We do have a lot of notes on there, especially going into the future. So we have engaged in a lot of continued work around least restrictive environment guidance, making sure that we're supporting how teams are making decisions about what supports or resources students who are eligible for special education receive. That's been continued work. That will continue into the future, particularly with our new role of regulation consultant, who can start really engaging in that process and looking at behavior, but also just regulation needs and how nervous systems those needs need to be met differently than maybe how we have in the past. Going into the future, we're also going to have some of our principals that will be engaging in an inclusive leadership development series at Oakland ISD. So that will be a new series that's offered. It was brought through a professional organization, so that will be continued work to build capacity. And we're going to be doing continued work around using discipline data. We started some of that looking at specific subgroups, such as those with disabilities. And now we're looking backwards and doing longitudinal analysis to look at subgroups, and just to make sure that, one, we can measure our growth over time of how we make decisions for all students, but also use that to inform how we design instruction, make sure that we're making equitable decisions, and if there's any training for anybody making those decisions, and our teachers of how we view needs and behaviors and the whole system. Does that cover?
I think so.
Yes, and just for clarification for me or anybody watching, so the least restrictive environment guidance. So when you say guidance, that's from whom? And then also, is that then not a requirement, it's guidance, correct? So I guess help me understand the LRE a little bit more, and maybe just for people listening, what that is exactly.
Sure, so that's a focus area. It comes down from the Michigan Department of Education and then is filtered through our intermediate school districts down to what we are all required to do. So
it's a requirement.
it is a requirement, but how you make those decisions would be guidance. So how do we engage in a decision-making process about how we decide how much time students join their general education peers, where they receive their specialized instruction, how intensive of those supports are. Is there a continuum? So do we collect data and then monitor and then provide interventions and then see how they respond and then become more intense with our programming? So essentially, it allows a decision-making process that's rooted in data so that we're always monitoring students' progress. And it's a checks and balances system, I guess, to make sure that we're not providing more intensive services than a child needs, but just the right amount so that they can demonstrate the best outcomes possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit of clarification. I know you mentioned it comes through the MDE, but it's IDEA is what drives all of that. And LRE assumes that the least restrictive environment is general ed. And so I wanted to make one comment about, you listed up here as training for general ed and special ed early childhood staff on inclusive programming for children. But all of this, I mean, every teacher's a special ed teacher, whether they realize it or not, right? So learning how to work with that and accommodate is all part of all of this, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It comes down federally. It's according to those federal regulations to make sure that everybody has an equal and equitable opportunity to learn in schools, whether you have a disability or not. And yes, a lot of the training that we've been doing over the course of the year, and I think the district has done even prior to me coming in, has been engaging general ed and special education, that we want to continue that. So that everybody has tools in their toolbox to serve all children, and really the idea of instructing to diversity instead of separating students out by a label or a disability category.
And I believe this is our last slide. And this is the big highlight for us here as we wrapped up another successful year of Parent University with a number of different topics, and we have started to plan for that next year already. Elisa and Sarah have been a part of that planning process with Carrie, and we've been talking about some plans. But continuing into next year of, as you can see up here, again, bringing together our departments and really emphasizing that we're here for all learners, all families, and so that will be a continued discussion over the summer to finalize some of our topics for Parent University, but had another great year of turnout and good dialogue from our community, which we always appreciate. I believe that is everything for our section.
All right, so continuing, looking at the learning environment and culture with mental health. Just continuing to provide the EAP information for all staff members, make sure they're aware of the supports that are available, all confidential, and making sure that they're able to have easy access to that at any time. And then just continuing discussion to support staff well-being throughout the 5 focus areas with leadership, the building level, at the district level, et cetera. That's been the progress we've made this year, and that's kind of the plan moving forward next year. It's just continuing to make sure that that is a focus and a discussion point with us as cabinet and also with our leadership team so that all staff feel supported in that area. Personnel and leadership negotiations are currently ongoing. Had a negotiation session with an employee group earlier this morning, have another one tomorrow afternoon. Those are continuing to progress very nicely and collaboratively. Very proud of the relationships that we as a district have with all of our employee groups. We hold labor management meetings throughout the year. We continue to, have that open dialogues and communication and respect so that the small things stay small and they're able to be attended to before they become a bigger headache for either party. So, if we continued with all of that, our ASME childcare and LOSA contracts expire at the end of this school year. Confident that we will be, meeting an agreement and finalizing an agreement to bring to you before that date. And also our LOEA is open currently with negotiations regarding the salary schedule. Next year, our contracts that'll be up, the LOEA contract will be expiring June 30th of 2027, and our ASME group for June 30th of 2027 as well. Any questions on that? Leadership development, another part that continue to be very proud of with how we work together as a district to just grow our leadership within. That's been very evidenced with a lot of our hires, even tonight with our teaching group, with our student teachers and growing future educators and leaders within the profession. So we continued with that. Our second LOCS administrator cohort was established. We held our first 2 meetings late winter, early spring, and we'll continue with an additional 3 to 4 meetings next year with that second cohort. Employee handbooks were worked through with the employee handbook committee this year. They're in the final stages, draft stages, and will be set to distribute to staff at the beginning of next school year. And then just continuing to make leadership development within our district. And leadership development looks a lot of different ways. Our administrator cohort is geared directly towards administration and building level leadership or district level leadership. But, supporting leadership development and increased leadership capacity occurs in many different forms that go beyond just principalships and directors and whatnot. So we continue to try to cultivate that atmosphere and culture within our buildings that we grow within. And I think we've been very successful with that. Any questions with this? Recruitment. As typical, like we, held our job fair back last August. We're in the process of starting to set a date for our job fair for this coming August. That is geared typically towards our hourly staff positions. We will have a new teacher orientation. If we do the district tour, I think we're going to be back to a full bus this year, I think. So, yes, at least one, yes. So we'll have our new teacher orientation. That's usually something that we start to plan once the students are out in June. Partnership with OU, again, highlighting that we were able to hire 12 former student teachers for this school year, or for next school year. That's phenomenal, and that really highlights the partnership and the strength that we have. Specifically with Oakland University, we work very closely with them. We host a lot of student teachers with them, but also with all of our universities. And it's really, again, just diving in and trying to give back to the profession. When you have less people that are going into teaching, you really want to help and support and grow the ones that are brave enough to do so. And so we are, taking every opportunity with our internships and our student teachers and our field placements to really make sure that we are growing them, and we are preparing them, if not in Lake Orion, for the profession as a whole to be a game changer in the future. That's all I have for that slide. Any questions on that? Safety and security. Safety and security, it's been a big year with safety and security as well. We've had a lot of work that we have done throughout this school year, from the district EOPs being, it was last year at this time that Safety and Security Committee, especially Dave McKay, shout out to him, really started to prep those and get those in building administration, get them in their hands so that they could prepare for some of the statewide changes that were happening. We updated our cards for the safety flip charts to incorporate the new language in accordance with that legislation. We really did a lot of heavy lifting on the district unification plans. And I think I speak on behalf of all of Cabinet that we're very proud of the work that has been done with that. Again, a very special shout out and big shout out to Dave McKay with that. He really did a lot of work in getting the groundwork started and continuing to move that forward. Last June, I was able to attend the SEPLA conference with Dr. Haas, phenomenal experience. We have 2 of our high school admin who are going to be attending the SEPLA conference this coming June once school is out, so continuing with that. And also recently we just applied for and were awarded a safety communications grant through Oakland Schools, which is awesome, as that'll help us as we're working to just upgrade and update our district radio communication systems. So next year the big things are continuing the work on the district reunification plans and training, continue our safety discussions and scenarios with our district leadership group. That's another thing that has been very rich in the discussion and keeping things at the forefront. So it's not something that you talk about, one time and 2 years later you're revisiting at a tabletop exercise. It's continuing on a quarterly basis. We did it 3 or 4 times this year, where we're able to, keep that at the forefront and continue that open dialogue, so to make sure that we're all on the same page. And then continue to strengthen our partnerships with the local agencies. And the big lift, I think, for this summer moving into the fall is going to be the update and upgrade of all of our radios. So that will be the big thing. That's all for safety and security. Any questions?
Forgive me if you did say what the SEPLA conference stands for? Did you say that? Southeast?
I started and then I stopped.
It's okay, I can go to the next question if you want.
It is geared towards law enforcement.
Okay.
I should ask one of our board members if he knows what SEPLA stands for.
Anybody?
No, I don't know that answer.
Who attended, do you know at least who attended from? Was it our entire committee?
No, it did. We
Okay.
spend 1 to 2 people per year. So last year it was Dr. Haas and myself.
Okay.
This coming year it's going to be Anthony Kiner and Danielle Bredimus, our high school associate principal and assistant principal.
Okay. Great.
It's the
And then-
School Educators Police Liaison Association.
Perfect.
Thank you, because I got
Thank you.
denied by the website to access that page.
It's doing its job. Okay.
Yes.
And then my next question was the safety communications grant. So what is the status of that? And is that what's going to be used to purchase the new, and forgive me if I missed that, purchase the new upgraded radios? Or was that something separate?
No, well, it'll be used towards our radio communication system. The
Okay.
purchase of radios, that is a very expensive
Right.
piece.
Okay, so I was just curious if it was linked. So we got approved for the grant?
We got approved for the grant. We just found out end of last week, I believe it was.
Okay, great.
That was in the amount of $48,211, which is awesome.
Okay.
What it has helped with is we have been able to put in repeaters at different buildings and
Okay.
upgrade those. And the repeaters help to extend the life of our radios. They also help to increase the coverage. It's kind of like if you're in a home Wi-Fi and you got your router here, but you're in the basement, it's like an extra boost to the Wi-Fi, basically, is how I would describe it. So That helps reduce the strain on the communication and also helps connect or improve the connectivity of all the radios within the building.
Okay.
That's the main piece that that grant is going towards.
Okay.
Making sure that all our buildings are outfitted with repeaters or upgraded repeaters.
All right, that was it.
Questions?
Just for clarification, the radio systems are in desperate need of being replaced, right? It's
They
not
are,
just a refresh, it's a
They are
it's a big
hitting
need.
end of life with them, and they have been, in 2018, we purchased them. They were part of our previous bond, and I think, formerly being at the building, I think I can speak freely that they've had some struggles throughout this radio that we purchased, and that we've worked through the struggles, and we've made them to make sure that they maintain safety and everything like that. But as they are reaching end of life, warranties have expired and everything like that, they're kind of hitting that point where it is more expensive to replace versus, or to repair versus just replace. And so the cost effectiveness, it's better to do that. And we're upgrading to a better radio. Currently, Carpenter Elementary, they got a full outfit of new radios that we are looking at, replacing across the district. They got a full, for their building, they got the new radios about a month ago, I believe. And the initial feedback that we've gotten has been very positive.
Feedback. And so those, was that a trial purchase then? Or was it something that the company was like, let's see how they do work first before we purchase the whole thing? Or was those purchased straight out?
A little bit of both. We did not have any replacement radios as some of our ones were failing. So as we looked at one of the buildings that had the smallest number of radios needed, we looked at it and said, okay, if we replace, that'll also give us some additional radios to put on stock in case of any failures throughout the remainder of the school year. And it'll also give us a trial run to look at this and go, how is this going to work for us? That was also covered in part by the grant, or will be covered in part.
Okay. Right. And nothing in the new bond is covering any of, like if we were to pass this coming, yeah, because it would be earmarked for, okay, that's pretty important to have that. Thank you.
And that's all for me.
So I guess Heidi and I can do these together or whatever. So with community engagement, like one of the focuses has been really, I guess personally in Heidi's 2 years, she's physically gotten out and met with lots of groups and been at a lot of events, all the parades and all of that type of thing. This morning, the Dragon Community Champions group met, and she leads that, and it brings together business and community leaders. And it was mentioned today by one of them how important it is for that group to continue to get together and have interactions and support each other. And that's something that's been a big initiative of ours, And so I think that that's gone really well. You can see the different partnerships there and everything, and I talked about the Staff Appreciation Week previously. One of the biggest things that we think is going to continue to grow fruit is in the Parent Square that we've asked community members who are not affiliated with the schools to sign up to receive our updates and to receive our monthly, information, and obviously going forward with information about the bond and everything else, school finance, et cetera, and to educate them. It involves them, reaching out and wanting to receive those things, but we're giving them a mechanism to do that. And I think in a lot of communities, that's very unusual from talking to my colleagues, because there's not always a mechanism, and I guess this is going to lead into our next slide, but basically we found a way to kind of start to engage them and have them be able to engage us as well, beyond just, the occasional, they're driving by and seeing our messages. So as we move to the sorry, do you have anything else on that one? As we go into the communications and marketing, Parent Square was our big initiative. We told you about that last year. It's a big investment by the district, and I think it's been a rousing success. Obviously, a transition of that magnitude for a parent communication tool is a huge lift, especially in this district where we had School Messenger for more than a dozen years, and everyone knew it, everyone expected it. We had made small tweaks in terms of individualizing, what buildings from when I came in here, and it was, instead of being general, but for the most part, there was nothing significant. Parent Square offers us so many additional tools in terms of messaging, in terms of individual messaging, in terms of alerts. And I think that that parents have, it's taken them obviously time to adjust, but I think that they're starting to see the advantages of it as well. And the ability to, I've talked about this before, but like at the end of the school messenger tenure, we could not text half of our parents. There was just a block and they couldn't unblock it. It was just, it was a total failure on their part and we couldn't get it undone. And now we're able to send text messages, we're able to have this app, so people can get messages in the app if they want. They get posts, they can go back. If they don't want to get any of those messages, they can just go on to the Parent Square website and see the posts that were specific to them as they log in. And it's really been beneficial. Sarah has found a use for it in special education to communicate with parents. So it's really been our big lift this year, and it's been great. And they continue to roll out. We were kind of one of the forefront districts in Oakland County when we signed up, and now a bunch of districts are signing up with them, similar to what we did with our website. And I think that's an encouraging sign because really we can share feedback, my colleagues and I, about different things, but it also shows that Parent Square is evolving in such a way that they're adding features. And I just got an email today about new features they're going to be adding. And I think that that's a sign of a company that we want to be associated with because they're continuing to be dynamic and not just rest on, their laurels. Obviously, other things that we've done is Heidi started this monthly message in the Orion Review, and that's trying to reach a segment of the community that we haven't been able to reach as well. So she has a column in there, and each column is about a different topic, and she'll have another one next week at the beginning of every month. And it's a way, and because the Orion Review now is delivered to every home in the community, there's no avoiding it, and that people don't, it's there for them. So there is a school presence there, and on a continual basis. Obviously, the Orion Living Quarterly Magazine, the one that's going to hit your doorsteps this week or next week, is all about school finance. So that's an opportunity for Andrea's message to get out there as well. And we have the Inside the Dragons monthly television show that we continue to do. So that's basically anything else, Heidi. Thanks for the support.
Heather, go ahead.
Oh, and one addendum. I'm sorry. When the buses come for new teacher orientation, Adam and I just ride them and give the tours. We don't drive them.
I think we should charter a bus based on what I heard happened the last time down Lake George. It was a little rough. All right, anyway. My question was, yeah, back is still hurting. Are you able to ascertain the numbers of outside community members that have signed up for Parent Square?
Yes, it's growing.
Okay.
I think it's somewhere close to the high 70s or 80s right now, which is
Okay.
pretty good for a couple months. And it's good in the sense that it's initiative on their part. We have flyers out there. We've started to put them in businesses and share things, but they have to physically go to the website or sign up with the
Yeah.
QR code. So
So 70 to 80.
I think so, somewhere in there
Okay.
right now.
Great.
Anything else? Thank you.
Okay, on to operations. So first, we have the sinking fund millage, and we continue to monitor that spending and future planning with the November bond proposal. And just to clarify, when, you asked about will the radios be in that, that's a possibility, because what happens if the bond doesn't pass? We have to reevaluate the priorities on the sinking fund list, right? So we also, with the renewal of the sinking fund, we can now purchase technology. So already we have an allocation next year in the sinking fund budget for technology purposes. So it's also possible that some of those radios could be purchased out of sinking fund, or a combination of both. So just to kind of clarify
Great, thank
the
you.
possibility on that. And then again, just kind of so public is aware, we do have kind of like a 10-year forecast with the sinking fund that's been discussed with Finance Committee before. And it's an always ever-changing based on repairs, what are needed. Another example that I can give is say the bond doesn't pass, well, we know out at Oakview, we may have to address the septic field, right? If the bond doesn't pass, we're gonna have to put that as a priority out of the sinking fund, which then pushes other projects, either later or not at all. So it is evolving based on what happens, so. Then moving on to alternate revenue sources, we are still looking into these things. The advertising opportunities we will continue into next year, as well as reviewing our district rental opportunities and pricing structure. One thing that we have noticed over the past couple of years is the demand for the space within the district is very high, and it's very high with our own students and their groups and athletics, that it makes it difficult, you know, to be able to always offer to the public. But we know we want to, right? So it's a constant, like, everybody's kind of got to get in the room, athletics, community enrichment, you know, the rentals on the outside of things, and, you know, where can we maximize the space so that we're satisfying our students and our group needs as well as our community needs. So that's part of that review process. Any questions on either of those? Okay. Moving to the current bond project planning, we did sell the last series of the 2018 bond on May 13th. That closing, when we will receive those funds, will be June 10th. We will continue to monitor the spend down of those final projects. As we've discussed already, for the projects for 2026 yet, CERC partial demolition and the site road circulation updates, that's currently in progress. CERC secure entry and multi-purpose space, that will be coming to the board on June 10th for approval. The Paint Creek Elementary Playground was previously approved, along with the roofing at the high school. And then this evening on the agenda is paving at the high school. So we'll go into more details on those. Okay, moving into the 2025 bond proposal, which is now turning into the 2026 bond proposal. We have our dates on there that we have discussed in regards to the preliminary qualification application that is currently being built with the expertise of our architects, our construction manager, our bond financial consultants, putting that whole package together, which will come before you for approval. And then also the meeting with the state to go through those details. Okay, areas of operation. So as you can probably tell, this was a work in progress slide. One update, we did reach an agreement with Orion Township for our tax collections for next year. So we are expecting a more reasonable fee, but then we also know that we are going to have to look at the future. So we will continue that course of action. And the other thing that we are going to be working on is reviewing transportation operations and procedures to, one, improve communications and provide the department with day-to-day relief. It is not outside of our awareness that it's been a very difficult year for transportation. It's been a couple, as we all know, and it really has to do with, it sounds like a broken record, but staffing, circumstances there. They are just very short-staffed as to where we have one person working in the office while all the other employees are out driving. I've been in there to help. Heidi's been in there to help. Even with more people, it is very difficult to address all of the demands, whether it be the radio, the phone calls coming in, trying to get, we've Mark's worked really well with Misty to get her set up and sending out those communications if a bus is going to be late, right? We want to improve upon that. You know, sometimes it just gets busy and there's not the availability for somebody to get that communication out. So we are going to be looking at that. Another great thing in working with Sarah is the special ed training, you know, for our aides and as well as our drivers on those buses. So I don't know if you want to add anything more on that.
There has been training that has occurred this year, but I think what we'd like to do going into next year is working really closely together to support any procedures that need to be put in place for communicating student needs, both, you know, drop off, pick up, but then also providing continued professional learning for both the aides and the drivers. We did have some that recently occurred, and it went over very well. We had one of our teacher consultants go and a psychologist who's actually going to be our regulation consultant, and it was so popular that people were coming in from the hallway to get in a seat in the room to be able to do some more. So I think we've definitely identified that we want to continue strengthening that. We already have some paraeducator trainers who went through professional organization in the state to be able to provide some specialized training to them. We've received some things from Oakland schools that we want to send them to as well. And we already have some planning dates that we set up this week, this morning actually, to look at what to do for them to start the school year and set them up with some regulation kits that can go on the buses as well.
So it's all great, and I want to make sure everybody knows that department, there are wonderful, wonderful people, drivers that care, you know, Pam and Misty, you know, they do a great job, and what Pam can work on the fly is amazing. So I'm proud that we've been able to continue transportation for our district. I know there's a lot of districts that have had to stop routes, you know, or prioritize certain routes over others. We've been able to continue it. While it might not be 100%, we have been able to. So I'm proud of the work that, you know, they do. Sorry, I went off on my soapbox.
Sorry, just one thing. So when we're getting another presentation in August, correct, with kind of more information on that, and do you think at that time you'll have some solutions to trying to, like, is there anything in the works as far as like solving that issue for this year coming up?
Yes, there
Okay.
are some certain things in the works, and one of them is, you know, Adam has worked well with the company Mets to bring in additional drivers, so that is continuing. I think it's starting to pick up a little bit more speed. It's a little bit of a cumbersome process, but we're getting there.
Okay.
So I do hope that will continue into next year. You know, we have, you know, some plans in place, and then hopefully just some drivers too.
Yeah.
Whether they call in, whether they're sick, whether somebody breaks a foot, I'm not kidding, it all happens, and you're like, how can this keep happening? But it does. So hopefully we come back with a healthy, fresh fleet next year. And then we'll continue as we work through with them over the summer months, once they can kind of take a break and then stand back, reevaluate, those types of things. So,
Thank you.
And if anybody knows of anyone who wants to be a bus driver, please contact us.
yes, please. Okay, moving on to finance. Let's see, we are in the final amendment process right now. That will be discussed with the Finance Committee next week and then come to the full board on the 10th. I do have a typo in there with the water main break and the shifting of schedules. The finance webinar is no longer May 20th, which would have already been. It is now June 3rd. So that will be next week. And then as well, Mark mentioned the Orion Living June article regarding school funding, if you want to check it out. And then as far as planning for next year, you know, we're going to continue to monitor. The state is in negotiations right now. There's a lot of things still up in the air as to how it will all shake out. I think the one thing that we do know at this point is it will be a 250 per pupil increase. Still not increase at the rate of inflation, but it is an increase. So we'll continue to monitor that and then work through our timelines for next year. We are also, with that comes what our final student count is in the fall. So once those projections come through, we'll really kind of know where we stand once we do the amendment next year. But again, a goal of mine has been to maintain and create a healthy fund balance. I know we've talked about that. As far as a percentage, my ideal percentage would be 15% to allow us to deal with the state and the uncertainties that we've had, as well as to be able to start the year and, continue not having to borrow in the summer months when we go without state aid payments. So that is a continued goal. And then we will continue development of school funding education. So I'm really looking forward to next week and what comes of that, and hearing from our community on specific questions that they have in order to help develop this all throughout next year as well. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you for that update, and more to come in August, yes. Excellent, thank you. Next up is public participation related to action items on the agenda, which we have none for that. Or I should say no one signed up for that, so we'll move up to strategic area discussion items, governance, and the superintendent's update.
Yes, so regarding the legislative update, we did send messaging out that the governor did sign the bill that allowed for forgiveness days. There were several districts across the state that went over their allotted number of days regarding, up north was the biggest issue that started this whole bill with the winter storm that they had. And then, of course, we came in with our water main break. So, we communicated really heavily with legislators during that time, and the governor just signed it yesterday. So we do not have to make up any time this year. So that was very good. And right now, the legislators are in Mackinac, and we really hope that they are discussing budget. As you know, last year they were late on the budget, and so one of the things that we have been communicating is we need this budget as soon as possible. It cannot be late like it was last year. So that is what we are hoping. So as Andrea said, we're getting bits and pieces, but we're far from having anything finalized. So we are remaining hopeful there. Birgit, did you have anything to add legislatively?
Well, there sure is a lot going on, but, and we could go on and on about this, but we won't. But there's a lot going on regarding some of the tax reductions that they want to do in some areas, which sound like a big relief for people. But it will back end it with an excise tax that you'll end up paying on services, which you may pay more money than you would for the other tax cuts, which impact the school aid fund by $4 billion. So there's a lot going on and a lot of great concern about the school aid fund and budgets for public schools.
Mm-hmm. And hence why we're doing more and more education regarding how schools are funded. I can't stress the importance of understanding how public schools are funded. It is becoming every year more and more of an issue, and just different things happening within the legislation that really people need to understand so that they are able to vote accordingly and really keep track of what is happening. Okay, And then regarding future bond planning, we did touch on this a little bit during the strategic plan, but as everybody is aware, we are going for a bond in November 3rd, 2026. And so we have been starting to get information out regarding that. And then obviously, as the timeline progresses, we will pick up more speed. But where we have been focusing right now is trying to get the highlights of the bond projects and, some of the information out before people break for summer, so that, again, people are aware and it's on their radar that, the school district will be going for a bond in November.
Do we know yet the timeline as far as years? I know that it was still in discussion as far as how many years this particular bond would go over the stretch
Yeah.
of.
Andrea, has that been determined by PFM yet?
Yes, that was sent out.
Sure, no problem. And then before we approve that, which was on, I think, June 24th or something like that, will we see it? Or know, or have the details of it in small group or any of that beforehand, before we approve it that day?
Have the details of
The
the years?
well, I'm sorry, the application process, like that, whatever we're approving on that day? I apologize. I'm wanted to come back onto the screen, but.
Yes, as well as, and
Probably look back.
yeah,
see what-
that will be coming to you, but that will have in it all of the things that you have received regarding all of the projects that are included in that. That is what the application will entail, so that,
So the number, the amount won't change, all of that will
no,
just, okay.
right, that's correct. You've already
Okay.
received that. All of that will be reflected in the application.
Okay,
So, yep. So you'll see the repeat of that.
Okay.
It will match.
got it.
And that's what Tom is working on right now.
Right now,
Yes.
okay.
The only variable that we didn't have, and we received this week that Andrea's looking up, the question mark was the amount of years.
Right.
So,
Okay.
In the total amount does change slightly because what we did not have in the project base did not include cost of issuance or interest. So
I remember
that will
something
change
about
slightly. But we did go with a 20-year for $115,985,000. The first issuance would be June of '27, and the second would be May of '29. So construction end date of 2030.
on the presentation, though, it said less than 6 years.
Yeah, so 2027 to 20, that's not the construction end date, that's.
The name of the.
It is less than 6 years. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this in
Do it
this
the
detail.
follow-up too, like next steps or something?
I'll put that down as next step.
I
Yeah,
was gonna
because
say,
we
if
knew
there's
that
not
it was going to be less than 6, but we are working with PFM to narrow that down.
There's
No
also
problem.
different terminology for the number of years. That the number that I like to look at is how long is the maximum millage being increased? Because that's really, to me, what we're borrowing. That says, okay, if it's 4, 5, 6 years, that the millage rate would be extended at the maximum rate. To me, that's the board arguably tying the hands of a future board to say, so like last time, it was projected that 11 years, the millage would have had to stay at the maximum rate for the amount of money we were asking. That's very important, that says that 10 years of work will be done, will be completed, and then the community can decide again. So that's really for here, that if we're asking for this amount of money, it should only take 4 or 5 years worth of maximum, let's say 5 years of maximum millage to be able to pay this down, so that in 5 years, potentially, another board could make a decision, do they want to go after more needs? But that, to me, that's always the key, is balancing the amount of money you're asking for and how long it's going to take to pay
found it,
Okay, yes, all right, good.
but yep. So the Michigan Department of Treasury preliminary qualification
There we go.
meeting is, and so that's June 23rd, and then it'll come to us June 24th. So I guess I just wanted to make sure we would have a picture of all the details before we see it on the 24th.
Yes, you're only missing one, one detail.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's all I had.
Awesome, thank you. Oakland Schools Board of Education election, as Birgit informed us last time, there was only one, so if you'd like to speak to that, you are going on, Birgit, you are going on.
No, I'm the designee.
You are the designee for,
So it's the year, there's a seat open for the Oakland Schools Board of Education. Their election is run different than a local school board. They are elected by the school boards in their county, except for 2 counties in the state, and they do it completely different, and I have no idea why. We are unique in that we are in, there's not very many in this year. There is 1 seat open and there is 1 candidate who filed. We still have to vote, which means we have to designate our official vote. We designate somebody, it's clearly going to be me. I will go to Oakland Schools on Monday, June 1st, and cast our vote to make it official. But Gary Hoff, who's a former board member from Troy, has put his hat in that ring. And actually, George Elert, whose seat is open, who is stepping down, had to resign because his house sold and he moved faster out of the county than he anticipated. So they appointed Gary Hoff to fulfill that term, and then he'll become official to fulfill the term, and then he'll become official on June 1st with the official election for the next full term.
He's official now, but he's just gonna,
Yes.
he'll get a new term.
Exactly.
A new complete full term, when he wins the election.
When he wins the election.
Because he is running unopposed.
Which they have to have at least 1 vote. We all know it's going to be Gary, but we still go through the formality of the election. So I will go. It is the same night as Learning Options graduation. I will have enough time to get to the county, cast the vote, and get back. That's my plan.
Easier election when it's.
right, when it's
And
one
there's no chance of a tie, so I don't have to hang
Stick
around.
around for the
so.
second vote, yeah.
Good luck, Gary.
Yeah, good luck, Gary, right? Excellent, well, thank you. Julie?
That's okay.
Is that the game we just played?
I'm not planning on missing it, but I guess you never know.
It is a good idea. I love Julie's attention to detail. So is anyone willing to be?
Okay, Heather will be
Heather will
our
do it.
alternate. In the event Birgit cannot represent us, that'd be good. So thank you both
Are you
for that.
disappointed?
Okay, well, thank you both, and, yeah. Next up, we have the school aid budget resolution. Birgit, do you want to speak to that?
I will just segue right into that. So a month ago at our last board meeting, I think that's when
Yeah, I know.
it's all running together. I brought to you information from Gary Randell's, the ISD lobbyist. He puts together these awesome toolkits for advocating for public education. After the debacle of last year's legislative debacle with the budget, we've got a handy-dandy toolkit with great ideas, and it includes a school board resolution that is in your board packet this evening. The point of passing this is so that we can use it it just gives a little more power to somebody from our district to advocate that our legislators act in a way that is in the positive for our students. And I'm just going to read the highlights of it. I won't read the therefore be it resolved for every one of it, but therefore be it resolved, Lake Orion Board of Education calls on the Michigan Legislature and the governor to adopt the school aid budget in a timely and transparent fashion. They also call on them to provide a minimum foundation allowance increase at least equal to the rate of inflation. Also urging them to protect the integrity of the school aid fund by prioritizing its use for K-12 education and not higher education. The board supports continued progress toward a research-based weighted funding formula that more equitably meets the needs of all students, including those who are economically disadvantaged and English learners. And the board calls for the maintenance of current funding levels for Section 147 to ensure continued progress in managing legacy retirement obligations without disrupting district finances, and also asking for the funding of school safety and student mental health programs, including Section 31AA, with restored flexibility to allow districts to meet local needs. And the board encourages policymakers to provide stable, predictable, and sustainable funding that allows districts to make long-term investments in student success. And be it resolved that we are encouraging that this resolution be passed on to the governor, members of the legislature, and other relevant state officials to advocate for policies that support Michigan students, educators, and communities. And then Julie, once we vote, I'm assuming we're going to vote yes, that you would fill in the proper positions of the names, because I'm happy to pass it on to the important entities for advocacy. And I really appreciate the board doing this. This is important.
It's the minimum standard to get it
It
done by
is.
July 1st, because everybody, oh, it's got to be done by July 1st.
Yeah.
Every school district in the state has to vote for a budget by June 30th. So we're still going into our budget season. The numbers Andrea brings in the next month are still going in blind.
Right.
With the 250 is the headline number, but what are the categoricals going to be, everything else? So we're still, this isn't a great system we have in the state of Michigan. Sometimes I say we're not very good at governmenting, and this is a big aspect of it. Every local government in the state is having to pass a budget blind to what they're getting.
And you know, some of the legislators have said, why are you guys on this fiscal year that ends June 30th? And, well, they wonder why we messed up with, we're not in line with the state. It's the state that moved. We didn't, the local entities didn't, they moved.
They moved years ago.
And so we pay a price for that when they don't do their job. And last year, if anybody recalls, it went into October. So we can't have that. They can't keep doing that. So if nothing else, it's an election year, and I'm hoping they'll at least do the right thing this year. But we'd like them to do it and create stability.
You're right. Next, we have the policy committee reports. The policy committee did meet April 30th. Julie, we were initially discussed putting the first reading in this packet, but. Okay, so we're moving that to next.
Yeah, since we had to carry over all of our items from the May 12th canceled
I
meeting,
just wanted to clarify
we're just going to
that.
bump it
So,
moving forward.
obviously, instead of going through every policy we talked about, just know that the policy first reading revisions will be coming to the next board meeting as well. And then there were a few items that we talked about just coming back to the board self-assessment committee and not necessarily making a policy, like more specifically on use of social media. I know we've talked about that quite a few times. So the board self-assessment committee is actually going to go back and tackle a little bit of the social media aspect of that. Because we do have a very short policy on social media, and it just would probably better serve us to have that in the board operating procedures versus an overall policy.
We have a short policy about it in
our policies.
in the school, like the
For yes.
Oh, for us.
Board policy.
board operating
Bylaws,
bylaws.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna throw some.
Okay. And so, okay. And then I had another question. Are there any particular highlights that jumped out that we should keep an eye out when it comes to the packet next time around?
I think it was most, Jeff, and you can jump into, I think it was mostly just more wordsmithing of things.
Clerical
Yeah.
type of things?
Is anything that jumped out to you, the cabinet, when we were? No, I think it was more just taking out language or adding language or changing some words here or there to just reflect, current practices, I would say, more than anything, so not really, so. Yeah, so that will be next meeting. Okay, so look forward to that.
That's a good one. Social media shall not be used to conduct any form of board business. End of bylaw.
Yes, it's a very short bylaw. So, you're right, so.
Conduct any, and the word, what does conduct mean? Because
Right.
obviously, we all know that we have no individual authority, only if a majority of the 7 of us vote on something.
Exactly.
So I can
Yes.
see where you want to take that and to give it a little bit more nuance in the modern world.
Exactly. So we will continue to work on the social media aspect. Okay, and with that, we move on to student achievements and Assistant Superintendent update with Drew.
All right, thank you. Just one additional update beyond the strategic plan tonight. In your board packet, brought forward our student handbook changes and revisions for the upcoming school year. There are no major changes, no additional policies, or new policies, I'm sorry, but a couple things that I did want to point out, actually a perfect piggyback to the policy discussion. One slight wordsmith that we did do, you'll notice under our personal technology device, that is now wireless communication device. So that just made sure that all of our handbooks aligned with what we discussed in the policy committee. The other piece, specific to the high school, I did just want to point out, you'll notice there were what appeared to be quite a few changes in the attendance. What those were designed to do. I did want to highlight one and we'll see again at the end of the year presentation. Our attendance and the way that we have approached that has continued to be extremely important, and our daily attendance rates have continued to rise. What this policy adjustment did, or I'm sorry, not policy, wording adjustment did, it did not lower our expectations at all or anything to that. If you'll notice in there, what it did is actually aligned a little bit better with our current MTSS process at the high school, which in turn opened up a little flexibility for students to earn credit with some different attendance things that came in. So it's not an adjustment or a change or anything, just we aligned it a little bit more to MTSS with what we're doing, and the wording and what is put in there in place now is continuing with the rigor of the expectations of the attendance, but also giving our students and staff a little bit more flexibility to get our kids that credit. If they've run into, life circumstances and things that happen, just being cognizant of that and supportive of our kids. So, but other than that, there were no major adjustments. Just, again, some wordsmithing changes of different positions, people who have changed positions, more clerical than anything this year. So, any questions that you had with those?
Bless you.
Are those the final set? So this will go to print for
Yes.
the 26-27 school year?
Yes. Yep. Okay, and those is the only other update I had for tonight.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Next up, Lamp of Learning Committee reports. Mr. Scott Taylor, who's given that?
I don't have the names at the top of my head. We did award them
Yes.
at the meeting. But we met to discuss the scholarships. One thing that we're going to have to talk about as a committee is the scholarships that we offer. For the third time in 4 years, only one student applied for the vocational scholarship. And we talked about getting the knowledge of what that is. It doesn't have to be the traditional trades. It can be, how did you use our career-focused education and go forward? But we've pushed that already, and we're still getting one. We've gotten one application through out of the last 4 years. So we might need to think about what scholarships we're offering to get better engagement amongst the students. The other thing that we talked about is the award ceremonies themselves. A lot of brainstorming. Julie talked to some of the administrators about what their thoughts were, and the thought is that we will likely pilot a program for the high school where it would be in the fall in the high school. We maybe get 20% of the students getting an award attending. So we were thinking, is there a way to make it more flexible when they show up? What award will they get? There'd be maybe photo opportunities, because that's the people want is the kids on the stage. So we'll be coming back to you with some ideas about what that'll look like. I think for the middle schools, we talked about we're going to leave it the same for next year, but see if we can get something cool that happens at the high school. Then maybe we roll that out to the middle schools as well. But just having to challenge ourselves to say, especially at the high school with the attendance that we get in the fall. I mean, the one that we just did in the spring, great attendance, because some of the buckets we only had a couple of awards left. So that's a big deal to the seniors. But the fall one, you got to try to make it even make it more interesting. Because the other burden is the office having to distribute all the awards that don't get picked up. That's the nerve central of the high school, and that dumps hundreds of awards on them to try to distribute. So we just have to be conscious of the effort that our program is putting onto some of the administrative staff of the district. So just got to be very conscious of all that. Well, thank you. So this year, the winners of the scholarships were the Arts and Literature Scholarship went to Susanna Cardiel. The Ambassador Scholarship went to Corinne Derbyshire. The Outstanding Service Scholarship went to Dominika Romanik. And the Vocational and Technical Scholarship went to Corinne Derbyshire. And Corinne was the only one that applied for that. So and the nice thing is, we're blind. We get no identifying information. So when we were done, we're like, hey, congratulations, Corinne, you also, were the selected one for the Ambassador Scholarship. So they're all gonna go start their future education with a little bit of money. And the big thing, I wanna thank all the Lamp of Learning Scholarship sponsors. So community members and businesses step up and donate to that program, and it's their donations that allow us to give this scholarship, that allow us to do these award presentations that we do to recognize scholastic achievement. It's not the district taking district money to do this. It's funded, so we're very thankful for the people who support the Lamp of Learning program.
Jake, go ahead, Birgit.
A question or an idea. I mean, I love Heidi's Student Advisory Council, and I just wonder if we've asked students input on this?
That's a good one.
We did.
We did?
Yes, we did, and we gave that feedback back to Julie
Oh,
as
and
well.
so
Yep.
that's included in this
Yep.
thought process, and, okay, because I think we should ask them.
Yep, nope, they had some ideas for sure and feedback.
Thank you, everybody. All right, moving right along, we have Human Resources Assistant Superintendent update with Adam.
Thank you, Danielle. I would like to recommend for hire the certified staff members as listed in the board packet. One item to note with the certified staff recommendations, there are a number of transfers that are listed in the packet, 9 to be exact. As you know, we had a large number of retirements this year as a district, which created a lot of internal movement. If you would have seen me in the month of March and beginning of April, I was a walking sticky note with all of the changes. So the vast majority of transfers, all but one actually, that are listed in the packet are actually a transfer to fill a transfer, to fill a transfer, to fill a retirement. So with that much movement, I mean, there were movements that went anywhere from 3 steps up to 5 steps and included anywhere from 2 to 4 buildings in just one hire. So instead of going through and going, well, that's a transfer to fill transfer to fill transfer, we just went transfer. And I figured I'd explain that here. But all of them were to natural forms of attrition, retirement, resignation, or other forms of attrition. We had one that went on a leave, stuff like that. One position was an actual transfer, with just a transfer to a position that was vacant. So that note, and then any questions on that at all or no?
So I did ask that as a question in advance, and the reason was, when it shows in the packet that there were that many transfers, that implies that we're transferring people and making up new jobs. So we do know that our enrollment is going down, mainly because of the aging out process. We're going to graduate something like 550 seniors this year. We only expect 400 kindergartners to backfill them. So just at each grade level, the cohorts we're pretty good. People aren't leaving Lake Orion schools, but when they see transfers, they're like, well, what's happening? But the ultimate root cause I wanted to make sure with Adam was that they're filling positions of natural attrition. Like we say, we're not creating all of these new jobs, putting people in them and needing to hire more.
Correct. Yep, that is correct.
I always call that the domino effect.
It is if you give a mouse a cookie, right?
But yes, but I also wanted to say, I just love it when I see our graduates coming back to teach here in Lake Orion.
As do I. That is one of the coolest parts. One of our new hires is actually one of my old students at Scripps, so I'm like, hey. So that is always a very proud and exciting moment. I agree.
We've gotten to the point where we're hiring your old carpenter kids. Was that cohort there yet? Getting there?
We are awfully close to that, but I'm not going to comment any further on that.
How long have you been here, Adam?
Yes.
Yes.
I would also like to recommend for hire the administrative staff as listed in the board packet. And that is all that I have.
Okay. Thank you. You've been busy, so thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Busy season for you, but all very positive things, of course. We're excited for all the new staff. Okay, superintendent evaluation report. I'm assuming that's regarding the close of this mid-year kind of check-in. So for those of you who don't know, we actually started our meeting tonight at 5:30 in a closed session for superintendent evaluation. Heidi comes in and gives us kind of her mid-year check-in, and it gives the board the opportunity to kind of review Heidi's progress, I guess, if you will, for the year, and allows us to ask some questions and give her feedback if we deem she needs such feedback, and we will do the official evaluation in the fall for her, but this is just the mid-year check-in. So anyone want to add anything to that?
Anybody has that state law allows if an employee requests evaluation to be done in closed session, state law allows that employee evaluation to happen in closed session. Heidi requested that, so that's why it occurred in that fashion.
Yep, thank you for that clarification, Jake. So that was earlier this evening. So, and just as a reminder, if you have any follow-up for Heidi, obviously, please let her know. All right, and next up, finance and operations with Andrea.
Thank you. First 5 years is what the bond ends up being. So thank you for allowing me some time, and then you can cross off the to-do list. Okay, so first on the list is the Lake Orion High School Paving Bid Award. Yay! The students will be happy. So in your packet, there's it's the bid packet for the paving, which will be the student parking lots and portions of the concrete in front of the entrance. There is a map in the board documents which highlights the areas. This was also a part of the bond projects. Our architect, GMB, construction manager, Frank Rewald, wrote the bids according to the standards and specifications of the district. The bids were advertised in the local newspaper, Sigma website, and district website. The bid was received on April 28th. This project will be funded from whether it be the 3A, 3B series, and/or possibly some sinking fund dollars. It is recommended that we finalize and execute a contract with Hutch Paving for a total amount of $744,728. That's a base bid of $582,387 and a contingency and allowance of $162,341. Any questions? I should also point out that, this was intentional, that this work was not done prior to the completion of the new aux gym, knowing all the construction, that would be going through that. So it was kind of a timing issue. So now we can go ahead and knowing that there won't be that construction activity work on this paving.
And then we're not doing the parking lot that's like closest to the tennis courts, because potentially there could be future construction work at that end of the building.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. Okay. Next on the list is the Oakland Schools 26-27 proposed budget. This is the second reading and vote for this evening. As a reminder, discussed at the last meeting, all funds have been provided by Oakland Schools. However, it is only the general fund budget, which the board is required by law to vote on, no later than June 1st. They will actually be voting on June 1st. And let's see, it was presented to the Oakland County School Business Officials meeting on April 17th, which I was in attendance, and I'm comfortable with the budget as presented. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Jake attended the designees meeting, so if you have anything to add, a couple highlights: property tax revenue increased 3.4%. General fund budgets are operating at a surplus of 1.2 million, and there's an increase in PA 18 funding of 2.9%. You have anything else to add?
One of the most interesting things they said at the meeting, though, is a couple of years ago, they added programs to grow business officials and HR, and the business, it was extremely successful. That the people they picked, they tried to pick people that had ties to Oakland County, and everybody that went through their cohort was hired by an Oakland County district as a business official after their 2-year training internship that they had. So you took degreed individuals, when I say internship, but taught them the specifics of school finance, because I have a finance degree, and Andrea, accounting, you don't learn school specifics until you get specifically into the school field. So growing our own business officials, they've had that program at Oakland Schools, and that was just a key highlight, because it is very difficult to have people who are trained in the specifics of HR or school business, and out of their general fund, they carved out some money and have been able to build that program. So that was a pretty cool highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys remember Steven Tadzik, so he worked with us. And then we are on a rotation for the next one as well. Okay. Next on the list is the International Academy Fiscal Year 27 budget, the first reading. So this is where the board can either approve, disapprove, or abstain by June 30th. So again, this is the first reading. It will come back on June 10th. Lake Orion is projected to have 39 seats next year. Of the 590 projected seats, they did provide some information that is included in your board pack. One of the, according to the rules of the International Academy, is they charge 10% on top of the foundation allowance. So the tuition rate is, next year will equate to $11,330. So that's taking $10,300, which includes the $250 for next year, multiplied by the 10% to get that amount. So that the tuition rate for Lake Orion for next year is $441,870. We don't pay that amount directly because we have 2 teachers that work for the IA. So that $441,870 tuition is deducted by their staffing costs that we pay. And so then the net of what that works out to be, there's always a calculation done at the end of the year, is what we end up paying back, which I know for this year is around $190,000 that we will pay in addition to those staffing costs. Let's see. And then, yes, I mentioned the tuition rate, so any questions on that?
We only pay for 39 seats, so the fact that one of the seats is empty, we're not getting charged for it?
That's correct. Yep.
And as the background, if I remember, that this agreement got modified, would be the word, a few years ago, so that all districts in this consortium, so when you see things, why is Lake Orion paying the same amount as the hold harmless districts? That's something that we've agreed to. So basically, this is the execution of doing something that we previously agreed we would be into. So approving the budget is, if we agreed we're gonna be in the consortium, it seems we would agree to the budget that was part of the consortium agreement that we agreed to be into.
If you don't agree with it, you can't be part of the consortium.
And if you vote no on
so-
this, exactly, that means
Correct.
you're out, and don't they get your money for the next year? Isn't there a clause that because they would have empty, I think the clause is if they have empty seats, you pay for one more year,
Oh.
because they can't just adjust their cost structure that quickly.
Correct.
So it would be a big deal to vote no. Not only would we be not affording those students that educational opportunity, we would be paying for our penalty for leaving.
Okay.
All righty, thank you.
Moving on to the last item is the April monthly financial report. This is obviously expenses as of April 30th. The budget is still currently the amended budget as approved by the board on January 28th. Focusing on the general fund, we've received $73.8 million in revenue, which is 68.9% of the budget. And we've recognized $74.3 million, which is 69.4% of the budget. The other schedules include Community Service Fund and Food Service Fund, as well as cash and investment, cash flow, cash disbursement detail, purchasing card activity, and the grant summary schedule. Any questions?
I believe so. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, scrolling. I was like scrolling to where we need to be, yes. No, I need to write this first. On my, on page one. All right, so with that does actually move us to our action items. So may I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the following consent agenda items. Approve payment of the April bills in the amount of $10,665,202.85. Approve minutes from the April 22nd, the regular meeting, and closed session, April 30th Policy Committee meeting, and May 1st, 2026 Lamp of Learning Committee meetings. Also approving out-of-state and overnight field trip requests for the LOHS Thespian Troop officers to Rochester, Michigan on August 3rd through 5th of 2026, and for the LOHS bands and choirs to Orlando, Florida on February 11th through the 16th of 2027.
Thank you, Birgit. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you for the support. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda, motion carries. Oh no, I gotta get to the next item.
73.
Thank you. May I please have a motion to adopt the Oakland Schools election resolution?
I move to adopt the Oakland Schools Board of Education election resolution as discussed.
Thank you, Heather. Is there support? Support. Thank you. Any discussion? And that is a roll call? Yes.
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 Thank you. And once again, thank you, Birgit and Heather, if necessary, for representing us. Action item number 3, may I please have a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2026-27 school aid budget resolution?
I move to adopt a resolution supporting a timely, transparent, and adequately funded fiscal year 26-27 school aid budget as presented.
Thank you, Jake. Is there support?
Support.
All the support, thank you. Any discussion? And once again, that is a roll call?
Yes.
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 Yay.
Yes, the resolution is passed, of course. Next up, may I please have a motion to approve the student handbook revisions?
I move to approve the proposed revisions for the elementary school, middle school, high school, and learning options student handbooks for the 2026-2027 as presented.
Thank you, Heather. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, may I please have a motion to approve the certified new hires?
I move to approve 22 certified new hires as presented.
Thank you, Scott.
It's got to be a record. In one?
Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And congratulations to the 22.
Welcome.
Yes, and welcome. Yes. All right. May you please have a motion to approve the Early Childhood Center Director?
I move to approve appointing Shasandra Padilla as the Early Childhood Center Director as recommended.
Thank you, very good. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And welcome, and officially. Okay. May I please have a motion to approve the Carpenter Principal?
I move to approve appointing Aaron Schummel as the Carpenter Elementary Principal as recommended.
Thank you, Scott. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And congratulations to Aaron, and safe travels and safe move up from Texas. And we look forward to meeting you soon. Okay. Yes, exactly. Hopefully, we're excited too.
You got to be here to get claps.
She might be watching.
True. May I please have a motion to authorize the LOHS paving bid award?
I move to authorize administration to finalize and execute a contract with Hutch Paving, Inc. for paving work at LOHS in the amount of $582,387, with allowances and contingencies of $162,341, for a total recommendation of $744,728.
Thank you, Heather.
Support.
Thank you. There's much support from many people. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion definitely carries. And last action item, may I please have a motion to adopt the Oakland Schools 2026-27 proposed budget resolution?
I move to adopt a resolution supporting the proposed 2026-27 Oakland ISD General Fund budget as presented.
Thank you, Heather. Is there support? Support. Thank you. Any discussion? And that is also a roll call.
Yes.
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 And motion carries as well. So, okay. With that, that moves us to the end of our action items and does bring us to public participation for other non-action items and topics. So for this portion of the public participation, there are 4 individuals that have indicated intent to provide comments. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Upon your turn, please approach the podium. When addressing the board, please state your name so we can accurately record it in the minutes, and if you're willing to do so, also share your relationship to the district. The public participation portion of the meeting cannot be used to make personal attacks against a school board member or school district employee which are totally unrelated to the manner in which the member or employee performs his or her duties. All individuals' time is limited to 5 minutes. While you're at the podium, please direct all comments toward the Board of Education. If you're unable to complete your thoughts within the 5-minute time frame, you are welcome to submit your comments in writing. Lastly, please note it is the board's policy to take all comments under consideration. However, it is not our practice to respond during the meeting, as this allows concerns to be reviewed and, if necessary, forwarded to the appropriate administrator for follow-up. The board will also refrain from correcting any inaccuracies presented during public comment. It looks like our pen was struggling a little bit tonight, so I will do my best with names. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anything. So first on the list is Linda Hake.
Hello, I'm Linda Hake, and I have a son in the Phases program. I was here last month out of sheer frustration. And I have to say something. You made a comment, Andrea, that the kids will be happy. The kids will be happy for a parking lot. That's all we want. All these people here, I'm not the only one. We are so frustrated with the Cirque building. We are so frustrated with our kids not being happy in the situation that they're in. We are so frustrated in the health and safety of our kids. You know, I'm worried about so many things now for my son. Whether or not I'm going to keep him there, I still don't know. I'm still waiting for my emergency IEP and all of the testing that they're supposed to be doing. I'm still waiting because there's a 30-day, I guess it's school day, on whether or not I'm even going to get the IEP. People are happy for a parking lot. When we have kids that can't see very well and we've got debris, I walk into this place, I kept him home for about a week because of behavioral issues, and you're addressing behavioral issues, and most of that's environmental. It's not like a school, it's like an asylum. I walked in there, I drove him every day when I brought him back to school, happy as can be until I got into the parking lot. Then the behavior starts. He doesn't want to be there. And I understand why, because I drove him every single day. You walk in there and they're walking kids around the halls. They don't let them use the whole building. They're walking these kids around the halls. You know, you guys have to put money into this program if you're going to move us from where it was nice into this environment. I have one question. I'm going to actually read something. So I know I only have 5 minutes, but this is something that I would like addressed. So I know when I was here last time, you were saying that if the bond does not go through, we're not going to get anything. Nothing's going to be done. I took a tour through the building. I had them show me through the building. You have that robotics room that is ginormous. It should be used for our kids if you're going to put us into the position that they're in and then take away our gym. They have nothing but tiny little cells, basically. And then the teachers are all leaving. I don't blame them. When I went in there at the beginning of the year to talk to the social worker, she brought me into her office, which was the size of a closet. I don't know how they can even work like that. Now you've got teachers leaving, you've got teachers being removed. It's a terrible environment, and this is from a very positive person. I love Lake Orion. My kids have been there for, a long time, but this is not suitable, and I'm not the only one. I thought I was, but I'm not. You're going to hear a lot more from multiple parents. Anyway, I do know that there is federal funding. So where's that? For the Disability Act, there's federal money that is supposed to be going to our kids. And I want to know where that actually is going. So I will read this. All right. Or maybe I won't. Here we go. All right, so the federal government pays a portion of the excess cost that the local district doesn't have an excuse to cut services or deny. Hang on. Not what I want. It's for the IDEA, and I'm sure you probably know, what I want to know is if all of that funding that comes from our federal government is going toward our kids. So if you guys can sort that out and make sure that it's not being funneled into, K through 12, and that money is going straight to our kids for our kids' purposes and not replacing local money that should be going in there. That is one thing that I do want to know. And that's about all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, next, is it Rich Schroeder? Okay.
Hi, first of all, thanks for giving me the opportunity. My name is Rich Schrader, a 30-year resident of Lake Orion. I have 3 children who have gone through the Lake Orion school system, 2 in general ed, 1 special needs child who is currently in the Phases program at the Cirque Building. All 3 have had really great experiences. It's a testament to you guys, testament to some of the people on the board, really generate great experiences up until this year. Unfortunately, that all changed this year once the Phases program moved into the Cirque Building. I share the belief, as all of you do, that all Lake Orion students, regardless of being in general ed or special ed, deserve the same level of opportunity and support. This is ultimately what drives me to address you here tonight and has driven me to seek out support from both state and local agencies like the Michigan Department of Education, OSHA, the ARC of Oakland County, and the DRM in hopes of getting equity and support for the Phases students and staff. I was brought into the situation due to 4 different teachers and aides reaching out to me unsolicited with their concerns about both the safety of the Cirque Building and its lack of appropriate space to teach these special needs adults. These women were brought to tears. Tears. I'm almost brought to tears just talking to you people about this. These women were brought to tears telling me about the circumstances they're forced to work around. Every teacher and aide who commits their lives, their careers to supporting special needs students is an angel. They're my angel. They're my son's angel. To hear them crying out for help was heartbreaking and pushed me to step up. We as a district owe it to them to provide every resource available as they work to support our special needs kids. I'm sorry. I can't imagine a circumstance where Lake Orion would decide to tear down an elementary, a junior high, or a high school gymnasium with the general ed students and staff while the general ed students and staff were still at school. You would have a PR nightmare on your hands. Why would you do that to the special needs students in Phases? These kids have heightened sensitivity to smell, noise, light, but you deemed it appropriate to put them in the middle of a construction zone? It's already challenging enough for the staff to manage special ed students in normal circumstances. Now you ask them to do it while part of the building is being demolished. It's absolute insanity, and I'm shocked that I'm standing here before you having to talk about this. Back to my earlier point, every LO student deserves the same opportunity and support. Why ask the Phases students and staff to work around a construction zone when you would never ask the same of any general ed student? I can't imagine the circumstances where you go to Weber Elementary and tear the gymnasium down. It's not going to happen there. Why would you do it to the Phases students at Cirque? Which brings us to the current condition of the building. Phases has no gymnasium, has no cafeteria, no age-appropriate outside play area, or access to a track. Special needs students have meltdowns. I don't know how many people are familiar with special needs kids, but at times they get upset. That spoke to me prior. The only option these educators now are walking them around inside the building. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. My question, once again, why would any other segment of the general ed population be expected to go without a gymnasium, a cafeteria, or appropriate outside area? The answer, once again, is no. Why are you asking Phases students to do that? Unless I'm missing something, the total lack of communication from Lake Orion around the transition of the Phases program to the Cirque Building and the plan to address and update have been virtually non-existent. I think most of us expected some bumps in the road, but did not expect to have our kids in the middle of a building demolition and have virtually all the teachers and aides in the Phases program leave because they feared for their safety and did not see any light at the end of the tunnel. My question to you is, what is the plan? Are you going to continue to expect Phases students and staff to go without a gym, without a cafeteria, and with appropriate outside play areas, and without access to a walking track? I've gotten zero communication regarding the long-term plan. Special ed students deserve the same opportunities that the general ed students in this district get. In that regard, this is not a threat or anything. I've hired a special ed advocate who's working with me, and I have an attorney to help me find resolution. I hope you take this to heart and address the circumstances that these students and staff are under. Thank you for your time.
Next, Megan, is it McCarty?
Hi, my name is Megan McCarty, and my daughter is Claire. Claire's first year at Phases will be finishing soon. I am here today because I am thoroughly disappointed. It is disgusting what is happening to those kids. Understandably, when you move buildings, you expect some bumps in the road, as that gentleman said, but not what's happened. The school started with some great educators. We were looking forward to the Phases program because we knew that there were a lot of teachers and paras that loved these students. When we came to Phases, all of those teachers left. Every single one of them that started Phases, that put in the programs that we thought Claire would like, they've all left. I took some pictures of what it looks like when my daughter goes to school. This is what it looks like. I am sure that many of you do not have an elementary school that the entryway looks like this. This is her entryway. It sits next to this, which is her table and chairs are on the other side of this. I'm not sure what this tarp holds, but on the other side of that, our children sit in tables and eat their lunch. For some reason, they're not allowed in the cafeteria to eat. There are cracks in the concrete. There is permanent, just a bunch of leaves and gunk where the construction was. And this is months and months of this there. How many times do we see people cleaning up the front of the high school, the elementary schools, the middle schools? Every day. Once a week? Never. This right here has been there for months. The beginning, this is also, I'm not sure if it's graffiti or an old mural on the side of our Cirque building as you drive up. You see this. Not real sure if it's old mural, graffiti. Been there for the entire year. Here's the gym. Here's where Claire can go to the gym, just so you guys know. This was all torn down during their stay at Phases. I think it's disgusting. I think we have had we've had a great experience in the middle school and the high school. We had great educators, supporters, and I was really proud to call my children dragons. I feel like I dropped my kid off in an institution, and I'm not kidding you. There is one hallway that they are allowed to walk. Options has the other part of the building. In the high school, you had access to the entire high school. For special education, you're supposed to get what you would get in another school, right? So in the high school, she had access to the entire building. She had electives, she was in the mainstream. Here, she has a hallway. She's not allowed on the options side. There is a board that is up that says there are certain times you can go down that hallway. Well, the times that you're allowed to go, it states 9 to 9:50, you're not allowed to go. 10 to 10:50, you're not allowed to go down this hallway. 11 to 11:50, you're not allowed to go down this hallway. Now, you're talking about kids that are in Phases. These are kids on IEPs. Do you really think they're going to stand there at that board and say, can I go down this hall now? No, they're not. They have one circle that they can do. This girl loves sports. She loves it. A lot of you cheered her on during the Unified Games. Many of our students in this community wanted to be on her basketball team to play with her. She has nowhere to play. She has nowhere to go. And it is very sad. I am embarrassed to show people. I would never show our family members that would come and visit where she goes to school. It's disgusting. It's a mental institution. And I feel like before you get excited about a new parking lot, you might want to look at this. Maybe the excitement should be the entryway, should look a little bit better for this girl. Because a parking lot, really? That's where your excitement lays? I would think we would all want better for our kids than a parking lot.
I'm just going to remind you to address the board, please.
Excuse me?
I'm just going to remind you to address your comments to the
Okay, well, anyways, the excitement I know here is for a parking lot. I guarantee the General Assembly is not.
Thank you, Megan. Claire.
My name is Claire McCarthy, the daughter of Megan, and I'm really sad for doing how my gym for the high schoolers. And I can play or walk. And I want to free spot. And
Take a breath. You get a lot of time. Take a breath.
This one student. I mean, with her phone.
Shh, hold on, you can't understand. Take a breath. Take a breath. You're brave, and you can do this. Claire came up with her own talking points for tonight. So tell him you want to go back and talk about this.
And we, this one student hit me with her phone in my arm. And there was teachers in the room, and they did not stop it. And they saw me getting hit. It was so scary.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
And we don't do the Pledge of Allegiance, and our bathroom is all dirty. And we're losing my favorite teachers.
So good.
Thank you, everybody. That does conclude our public participation this evening. And with that, we will move to recap and next steps. Heidi, I'll start over here.
Yep. I have on here that we will review the opt-out for Savers and My Savers, bringing you the number.
And I actually do have an item for just a kind reminder to everybody for the OCSBA 2026 Annual Awards Banquet on June 17th. I believe that we need to let them know by next week, correct? Excuse me, Wednesday is the deadline, so if anyone would like to participate, please let Julie know by next Wednesday. All right, and with that, we'll move on to our closing comments, and we'll actually start with Sarah. I don't get to say your name very often, because you're up here, you get to close with us.
Thank you. Really, I think I just want to focus on thanking the Phases families and parents to come tonight and expressing and advocating concerns and questions so that we can listen to that. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Andrea?
First, I want to welcome all our new staff and 2 new administrators. One's still sticking it out. Good for you. Congratulations to all our graduates that we will have coming in the next couple weeks here, and end-of-year activities. Looking forward to all of it.
Thank you. Adam?
Thank you. I also want to welcome all of our new Dragons, teachers, administrators, support staff, et cetera. So excited to have all of them on board. Shout out to all of our soon-to-be Dragon alumni. Going to be an exciting day Sunday. And then next week, we also have our Learning Options and Phases graduation. So always an awesome time of year to celebrate these students and their accomplishments. Congrats again to Eric Mearshart, State Teacher of the Year. That's phenomenal. I can't think of a better ambassador for Lake Orion or for the profession. He embodies all of what it means to be a great teacher. And finish line is in sight for all students and staff. So let's finish strong and make it count.
Thank you, Adam. Drew?
All right, yes, welcome and congrats to all of our new Dragons, and really excited to celebrate the end of year and all of our students and their successes here in the next week.
Heidi.
All right, a shout out, I attended prom last week. It was awesome, so lots of planning that went into that, so it was a great event. I also want to commend everybody and their patience with the water main break. That was a new one that we had to deal with, but again, thank you for that. As was already mentioned, lots of events coming up in the next final days, so looking forward to all of the graduations. And then also, welcome to our new staff and administrators. Welcome to the Dragon family. And I too appreciate the Phases families coming to advocate, and you should have received an email because there is a meeting next week that will be sharing some information regarding your concerns. So that has already been sent out. And again, I wish everybody a great end of the year, and like I said, lots of events happening in the last final days, so thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. All right, first up, Mr. Jeff Faber.
First, I want to thank, we have a lot of audience members tonight, the building secretaries and Carpenter staff and Blanche Sim staff, and of course, our Phases families and students. Thank you for being here tonight. It's a long day and a long night, but we really appreciate having you here. I'm really happy to hear about no makeup days. I'm sure there's a lot of students who feel that way as well. That was a scary thing that even my 13-year-old asked about, which is a rare event. There's been some really cool events lately. The library 100th birthday event, Lamp of Learning Honors Night, and Scholarship Night, and our Teacher of the Year presentation. Those are really cool, and there's so many more great things coming up. I do want to, there's a lot of people, a lot of students, a lot of staff transitioning maybe to new levels, maybe moving out of the district, graduating and so forth, retiring, and I hope they have a really good last couple weeks and enjoy these moments, and good luck to everything they do.
Very good.
Yes, I concur on all the welcomings of the new staff, and I appreciate seeing audience members and staying till the end. I want to thank the Phases parents and students for coming and sharing your thoughts and speaking. And Claire, you were phenomenal. Thank you for your bravery. I want to wish everybody a happy end of the school year, and I look forward to celebrating students.
Yes, I want to ditto everything everyone just said. It's awfully hard to repeat the things, but we do really appreciate everyone that joins us and stays for these meetings. They're long. Appreciate you guys coming from Phases, sharing your concerns, speaking up, and really we do appreciate that. Want to welcome all the new teachers and administrators. Over the next 2 weeks, as everyone said, there's a lot going on. We do have graduation this weekend for our seniors, saying farewell to them, so I want to wish them all the best. We also have the retirement celebration for those teachers that are, and administrators that are leaving our district that spent such a long time with us, so thank you to all of them as well. And before we have our next meeting, we'll also have our last day of school, which is crazy to even think that that's coming up. So thank you to everyone that helped make this year a success, and wishing everybody a great start to the summer.
Heather.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Jake.
Yeah, I wanted to, one thing that doesn't get said in the process of hiring all these staff members is Lake Orion tries to get out ahead of the curve. We know we're an attractive district, so many districts wait till the end of the year and then do the summer hiring thing. So it's pretty amazing that we're looking forward to what we have next year. There's a plan, there's projections, and we're out there hiring people when there, a lot of candidates are out there and want to work in the district. So I appreciate the fact that they do that. I also want to thank everybody for coming, especially the Phases parents for speaking. It's the First Amendment. You petition your redress of grievances to the government, and you're heard. and everybody here hears you, and we want to make better experiences. We all want the same thing. I know the year was difficult, and we all, administration knows that the board wants proposals to hear your concerns and to make them better.
I have nothing further.
I'll just, just piggybacking on what Jake said, and I know the sentiment of all of us, and that we're sorry that it has been a difficult year for all of the students and families, and I do believe there will be better days ahead. And I appreciate you taking the time, staying, and letting us hear your experiences, because without that, we really wouldn't know. And so we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Of course, going last is difficult. Kind of to piggyback on a couple of people's comments, thank you so much to the Phases families for coming here and not doing this. I mean, yeah, we do see the social media, some, but, you know, it's so much better if people can come to us and stand in front of here. And I appreciate that so much, because we do want to hear it, and we don't spend, or I know I can only speak for myself, I don't spend hours on social media combing through comments. I see some of it, and this is so much more meaningful and impactful, so thank you so much for coming. And Claire, right? There you go, there you go. And like Heather said, we know better days are ahead, so thank you so much. Congratulations to all of our seniors. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.